Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Like Queen Lisa. And today we thought we would do something fun. We've got our buddy Satoshi Sean still recovering in the hospital. Please send him all your love and wishes to get well soon. We thought we'd bring some of our community members in and go back, do some waybacks. We used to do crypto journeys on here, and I was talking with one of our friends from the community. You guys, you know him, you love him, Warrior 32, or you know him as Benny. He's got a really amazing story. He's a patriot and just a great guy all the way around. You see him on Twitter space or hear him on Twitter spaces with the crew on Friday nights after happy hour. He also jumps on and helps out just all around in the community. So without further ado, we'll be right back right after this. Give us a like, share the video, and get the word out so we can spread more truth about good people in the community. Hey, Warrior, welcome to the show.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Still
I can hear you
okay.
great.
It was
Yeah.
muting me by itself for some reason. I don't know why.
Yes. So it'll mute you while I'm doing like the intro, outro, I should have given you kind of a heads up on that. It kind of kicks you out in the back. It makes you behave while I'm doing my thing. But thanks for joining me. We've got a couple of friends and fam in the chat. Westwood's in there, and oh, it looks like you're in there chatting. JB Rance, Jim Montgomery, Jason's in there. Thuran, thanks for joining us, guys. You have such an interesting story, and not just your crypto story, but your life story. And so I wanted to share some of that with the community. And I think one plays into the other, and maybe why you are so interested or drawn to cryptocurrency and some of the points about it, or the reasons that a lot of people are drawn to it. And so I thought it might be really encouraging for some other people for you to share some of your story. So I've had the honor of getting to know you, and we've been friends. You thankfully support me on Patreon, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you so much. So we've had an opportunity to connect through that and message each other and get to know each other a little bit better. And I know that you really are in this for the long haul. You're a very dedicated father. You served our country and were in the military. You have an amazing story that I want to hear more about. I love going on the road, and you went on the road in an incredible way. And I want to hear more about that. So I'm not even sure which part to kind of start on. What part of your journey kind of led you to this search for freedom and independence?
Well, I guess I'll just kind of go way back because it all ties together. It's been a continuous journey for decades. I had a rough childhood, like a lot of people do. Went into the military to get away from all the craziness
Mm-hmm.
that surrounding me in life, and served in the Army. I was stationed in Fort Ord, California. I didn't go very far, right? Stayed in the state. I did do basic in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, but I came back to Fort Sill. Fort Ord, and I was in a rapid deployment unit. Went to Panama in 1989 when that whole stuff went down with Noriega. We were some of the first people in country. That was pretty wild. Never seen anything like it before. Young kid, right? I was like 18 and a half years old.
Wow.
And, it was pretty wild. Did my stint there. It taught me a lot, gave me a lot of, taught me a lot of like personal discipline in the military, because I was kind of a wild child. I never was really, into authority, even though I was raised somewhat strictly in certain aspects, but not all the way across the board. So I got out of the military, and I went into the National Guard just to, keep my foot in it, and wound up going to LA riots. And that was scarier than Panama. It was just insane.
Really?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, like on our home soil. Like, it was just crazy. Yeah, and then once I was all done with all of that, I don't know, things got a little crazy. Um, I was still bucked authority. I was just more disciplined in it. And life took some turns on me that I didn't see. I became, kind of a hard person to deal with. Got into drugs pretty hard. And one day I was like, this isn't life. Like, this is ridiculous. And it was to the point where I wouldn't kill myself, but I felt like that. You know what I mean? And so I just prayed and was like, take me off the planet. I'm done.
Mm.
No use for me being here. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't why I came here. And because I always had that feeling like I chose to come, and so I was like, it was just something inside of me was like, that was part of like my agreement or something. Like, I couldn't remove myself. I had to be taken. So I
Mm.
prayed to be taken. And a couple days later, this guy I knew calls me up. He was a big pot smoker, and he was, for some reason, he couldn't get any weed. And I was like, well, hey, I got a friend that lives in the city. And this was back when they first started doing pot clubs and they were still illegal. I said, I have this friend in the city who could probably get you some really good stuff, because I didn't really do pot that heavy back then. So I didn't really have people that I can call. But
Mm.
so I called my buddy in the city, and he was like, yeah, come on up, whatever.
What
So
do you call the city? What was that?
San
What would
Francisco,
the city?
San
Oh, San
Francisco.
Francisco. Okay. Everybody
Yeah.
always like I live in Oklahoma, and so the city is Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
We
So
all
San
have our
Francisco
the
was
city.
the whole Dennis Perone thing,
Oh,
Proposition 215. That was like when all that was just getting kicked off. So it
okay.
wasn't actually legal as medical marijuana yet.
Okay.
And so, so the next day that my buddy comes, picks me up, we drive up to the city, to San Francisco, and we meet up with my other friend that I've known for years. I've known him since we were kids. And he was a pretty spiritual dude, like, I always liked being around him. He was pretty cool. And, we're sitting there chatting for a little bit. And all of a sudden he gets this weird look on his face, and he turns to my friend that drove me up there, and he starts talking to him about his kids and his court case and
Mm.
all these like very specific things, like he knew him personally. And I
Oh
was
wow.
sitting there like scratching my head, like, what the hell is going on?
Hmm.
And I'm just sitting there in awe. Like, I wasn't like freaked out. I was just like thinking, like, how does he know this? Like, and my friend is like flabbergasted. He has no idea how this dude knows all this stuff about him, right? And so I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, my friend that lives in San Francisco turns and looks at me, and he points his finger at me, and he said, "And you, if you don't stop being destructive, we're going to take you off the planet. We're not messing around with you anymore." And they didn't say it that kindly. They used a lot of F words. There was a lot of F bombs involved in it to
Wow.
like get through to me, right? And as soon as he said that to me, he just turned right back to my other buddy and started talking to him about his kids again. And people talk about that spark, like we're the spark of life, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And so I was taken there, like, while I was sitting there, I was taken there, and I was shown it. Like, it was just this massive amount of, it was all darkness except for this little spark of light, which was me. And it's like I felt it get touched,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden, like, energy just blew out my body, like out of my arms, out of my hands, out of my feet, out of the top of my head. And I was just floored. I was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, holy crap, And so time went by. He gave my buddy some weed, and we left. And the only thing that was said on the way home back to where we lived was, he looked at me and he said, and I have, we both have our sunglasses on. It's summer, and he looks at me and he goes, "How did your friend know all that about me?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I've never mentioned you to him. I said,
Yeah,
I
because
didn't even
he's
know all that
thinking you
about you.
said all that. Yeah.
I didn't even know that about him,
Oh,
you know?
you didn't even know that.
No, he
Okay.
never talked about it,
Wow.
you know? And so I was like, but the whole time, like I had tears coming out of my eyes and I kept
Mhm.
wiping them away. Like I cried all the way home, basically. I mean, I didn't know what was going on with me. So he drops me off. He goes on his way and I'm just crying. I cried the rest of the day. I just couldn't figure it out. And then I went to bed, got up the next morning, and it all started again. I could feel everything around me. I just started crying again. And so I grabbed the phone and I called my friend up in San Francisco and I was like, dude, what the hell? And he's all, what? And I said, what did you do? He's all, what are you talking about? And I told him what he had said to me. I told him about what he was talking to my friend about. And
Mhm.
he just on the phone, he was like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, what? He goes, you guys came up to get some weed and I gave him some weed and you guys left. And I was like, no. And I told him what happened. He was like, dude, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so it was like my
He did
drug
not have
addiction.
the same experience.
He doesn't remember any of it. And then like my drug addiction was gone. Like I didn't like, it was just like that gone. And I
Wow.
was a part owner in a automotive air conditioning shop. Within a week, I pretty much gave everything up, took my personal belongings, told my partner, I said, you can have, I mean, I gave him like $20,000 worth of tools.
Oh my
I said,
gosh.
take it all. I got to go. He's like, where are you going? And I was just like, I don't know, man. I said, my mom just moved to Stockton with my aunt. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to figure out what the hell I'm doing. I don't know. I just knew I had to get out of the environment I was in because it didn't suit me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was staying with my mom and my aunt, getting my stuff together, you know, the only thing I ever knew was I was raised Pentecostal, right? So this was definitely like a God thing, right? So I
Wow.
was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately started going to church again, started reading the Bible again. Like I actually read the Bible from the very beginning to the very end,
Mm-hmm.
and then through all that, um, I just came to a point where it wasn't church that I was looking for either, because I just didn't feel satisfied. It didn't feel full, you know. And then one day, my friend calls me. He says, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna go to Hawaii. My friend just bought 5 acres in Hawaii on the Big Island. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, let me, you know, I was just going to work. I said, let me save up a little bit of money so that I can, you know, so I can go, right?
Make it over there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so while I was working, I got hurt. I hurt my
Oh
back. So 2 back surgeries later, a bunch of therapy. And then I got a settlement and I took it in $500 payments per month is what I set up. And then jumped on a plane with my friend. He hung out and waited for me. He was like, yeah, I got time. I'll wait. I'm not in a hurry to go. And so we went to Hawaii and I thought I was never going to leave Hawaii. And I know what they mean about island fever now. You know, it's just, you get tired of going around in circles. It's
really?
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so like no pressure. Everything's like, you know, I would always hear, "Hey, slow down, brah." You know, ain't nothing going anywhere. It's just Hawaii. Like, okay, you know. And so after a while of being there, I was like, I can't take it anymore. My mom was getting sick, and I couldn't afford to fly back and forth. So I was like, I need to get back to the mainland because that's what they all call it, right? And so my friend was like, well, he's like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of being here too. He's all, well, how about, do you want to go back and stay with your mom? I was like, no, I just need to be somewhat close to her. So if I need to get on a bus or something to go see her,
Yeah.
I can, you know, I can't afford these, you know, $800 plane trips. And so he was like, well, there's this cool commune in Oregon. We can go there. And it's only like, I think it was like 6 hours to where my mom lived from there.
Ooh.
And he was like, you could just jump on a Greyhound anytime and go see her. And I was like, oh, okay. So we went there. And at first I went home and visited my mom first just to check on her. And she was doing pretty good, but she was sick.
Hmm.
And then I went to Oregon and I spent time at this commune and it was amazing. And something clicked while I was there. I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Is that
You
like
know,
a farm or
Well,
where
it's like,
everybody's contributing, or
right,
what
right.
was that like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody helps garden or pull weeds or, tend the land basically,
Okay.
whatever needed to be done, I helped with a lot of different things, but while I'm doing all of this, like especially while I was in Hawaii, like I was reading a lot of books on different religions, and that's what I think sparked the whole thing with me, was that what I found the commonality, like they all had similar things to say. It was all about love your brother, love your neighbor, don't be an ass, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And but the one thing that really stood out to me was like all these icons, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, like all of them, like they all like gave up their stuff and just took off and
Mhm.
just kind of walked around. And I was like, well, maybe there's something to that if that's what they all did. Confucius did it, like. So I
Yeah.
was like, when I was in Oregon, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep moving around. And I just had a backpack with bare essentials in it. And, I went all the way from Hawaii to Maine. And I didn't hit every state, but I hit quite a bit of them. And just kept learning about myself and my connection with what I had experienced, because I didn't want to lose it. And so I just kept building on that. And I learned a lot. It was amazing. I learned about, gardening, growing food. I learned about medicinal plants, how to make tinctures, like basically how to take care of yourself out in the country, and it was just an amazing time. I did that for quite a while. And I did stay, some places for a while. I'd get like a little job
Mhm.
and, work and, you know, did a little bit of couch surfing, like whatever it took. But people, there was always someone there that just would pop out of the woodwork and help in some way. Like whatever I needed, it would be taken care of. Like every time, it didn't even matter. I quit worrying about like, am I going to eat today or where am I going to sleep today? Like, because it just was always provided. Like it was just constantly being confirmed that I'm being taken care of. Just keep doing what I'm doing. So
Was
I just
that
kept.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that your connection with God, the universe, whatever you were seeking then? And was
Right,
that the affirmation of, "Yes, I'm
right,
still connected, I'm being provided for," or
right.
um, "I'm being provided for, so yes, I'm connected," or was it
No,
all of
no, it was because I was like, I always looked at it like, so my terminology when I say God, I look at it, it's like all that is everything. Like it
that?
doesn't
Mhm,
exclude anything, all everything. So that's what I mean by God. So it was like my connection with God, everything that was, just trying to be better for it. You know what I mean? Being a better part of it, and always in, like, I guess, in communication with it. Like I always felt like my life was a walking meditation. Like whether I was
mm,
sleeping, sitting, standing, walking, it didn't matter what I was doing. It was always churning inside of me, and it was like I was always provided for. And it was like some of the things were amazing. Like one time I was hitchhiking, and some guy just pulls up and he says, "You're never going to get a ride here. You'll never get a ride here. No one will ever pick you up here." And I was like, really? And it was like, I had
well,
been there all day and it was getting
thanks for
dark.
letting me know. Yeah.
Well, he's all, yeah. And it was getting dark. He's all, get in. He's all, if you don't mind, I'll just take you to my house. You can do your laundry. I'll feed you dinner. And in the morning, I'll take you 10 miles down the road and take you to a spot where you'll definitely get a ride. And I was like, okay. And nothing felt weird about it. I wasn't, nothing, no alarms went off or anything like that. And I was like, okay. And it was me and another person. So
Yeah.
the dude took us back to his house, let us take showers, wash the clothes that we had on, because we had other clothes, but he let us wash anything that we had dirty. He went and got a
Wow.
bunch of lobster. Like he cooked us this full lobster dinner. And in the morning he took us about 10 miles down the road, like he said. And he said, he's all, here, you'll get a ride in about an hour or so. And we got a ride within an hour.
Wow.
So it was like stuff like that would happen all the time, just
Mhm.
all the time. So then, yeah, it's like slowly. And then after doing that for so long, like it was so exciting and just a beautiful experience. But it started getting to the point where it was like I felt that I needed to change, because I had been doing it for a while. And that's when I kind of, you know came back to civilization.
Mhm.
And that's when I became an electrician and started putting roots down. And I never wanted to have kids because I didn't like the world. but I started feeling like I wanted to have kids, and within a year, I was having my first son. So it's like things just kept happening fast. Now I
Yeah.
got three. Things didn't work out with their kid's mom, but I got three beautiful kids.
Yeah.
And that's really what I wanted. And so then just been doing that for years and years at this point. And yeah, one day, like, I was always into silver and gold because I never trusted the monetary system. I don't think ever in my life I trusted the government, even when I was in the military. But I still did what I was ordered to do as long as it made
Mhm.
sense. There was times I said no, and it was like, I'm not doing that. That makes no sense at all. I
Interesting.
was getting in a lot of trouble, but I was always within my rights, so they could never. I was never like Article 15. I was never busted down in rank or anything like that. But I
Okay.
got a lot of butt chewings.
Hmm.
But I just didn't like authority that much. Still don't today. But so I always been into gold, silver, because I didn't think the monetary system was going to last as long as me. And eventually, like, I needed to have some kind of safety, especially when I started having kids, because I was like, well, now I need to prepare for them too, because the last
Hmm.
thing I want is a starving child, and I don't have any way to buy them any food because the system fell apart. So I was into gold and silver, and then one day I just happened across. I don't know what it was. It was like I wasn't really into YouTube, but one day I was like, I wonder what kind of videos they have on silver
Oh.
on YouTube. So I started searching YouTube, and I found a couple, and I was like, and then I found Bix Weir. And I was like, this dude makes sense. This dude's like covering it all, man. I was like, oh, so I started watching him, and then he led me over to like well, anyway, he led me over to John Claude, and that's how I kind of found Crypto Blood, like, oh, and I just been
Oh,
following all
cool.
these people ever since. But
Yeah.
you know, and so Bix started talking about Theta, and I was like, what the hell is this Theta? I knew about Bitcoin, and
Hmm.
so I would only watch Bix for the silver information. I didn't really care about crypto. I was like, I'm one of those guys. If I can't hold it in my hand, I don't need it. I don't want it because it's not real.
Yeah. I remember early on, yeah, you're not as interested, but
Yeah. So
you've come
one
a
day,
long way.
I have, yeah. And so I started watching Bix, and then he started talking about Theta. And then, at that time, he doesn't really do it much anymore, but he still talks about it. But at that time, he was talking about it every day.
Hmm.
And so I started looking into it. I was like, yeah. I started looking at it. It was like, I don't remember where it was at. I think it was like 30 cents when I first started looking at Theta. And I was like, it's 30 cents. And then, like, one day it was 40 cents. And then one day it was 60 cents. And and the whole time at work, one of my friends is like, he's a big Ethereum guy, right? So he's always talking about crypto, get into the Ethereum, get some Bitcoin. And I'm like, dude, that stuff's all imaginary. I don't know. And then I kept watching Bix, and I kept watching Theta climb. And when it hit about $2, 250, I was coming home from work. I had been working with the Ethereum buddy all day, and he was yakking in my ear about crypto and Ethereum, and so I pull up in my driveway, and I'm getting out of my car, and then I had one of those moments where I heard the voice, right? And as I was putting my key into the front door to unlock the door, and I'm turning the key to unlock the door, I heard, "You never take a chance. You always take the safe route. You need to take a chance." And I unlocked my door, and I just had like the biggest chills like run through my body, and I knew it was real. And I said, okay. So that's when I started buying Theta.
Oh, wow. So that was I was just looking on the chart, January 21, theta hit like $2 for the first time.
That's about right. Yeah.
And then from there, it ran to 14 and all the way up to what,
I think I
14
got
bucks?
almost to $16.
I thought it went to 16 too. They don't have it listed on CoinGecko doesn't show it at 16, but I swear it went to almost 16 um, in April. So that's, I mean, that's 4 months, less than 4 months,
Yeah.
three and a half months.
So I started buying Theta a lot, and I bought it. I kept buying it all the way up to $13. when it hit $13, I was like, well, I'm going to calm down because I didn't know anything about crypto. I didn't know,
Mhm.
hey, don't buy it when it's spiking because it's going to come back down. I had no idea. All I knew is that I was given a message to get into crypto, and so I did, and yeah, I spent a lot of money on Theta, and I bought a little bit of Bitcoin, started buying a little bit of Litecoin because they were in the top 10. I thought those were safe bets,
Mhm.
and but most of my money went into Theta, and then I just kept buying, and until I was satisfied with how much Theta I had, then I started venturing on other stuff, and then everything, a little while later, everything crashed and upside down on everything because I bought during a bull market. I didn't even know what that was. Now we're in a bear market, and everything's really cheap.
Right. We all
But
have our crypto education, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so it was like going to college, paying for college, but I actually got an
Wow.
education out of it.
That's
And
right.
so I never stopped buying. I've been accumulating cryptos ever since then, and I haven't. I've cashed in a couple $100 one time just because I cashed one out. Um, and that's the only time I've sold any crypto. The only other thing I've ever done is swap it for one for another or something like that. But I've never
Mhm.
sold anything. I just keep acquiring. I just keep buying it, and stacking it on my hard wallet. And you know, especially right now, it's so cheap. It's like, oh, yeah, just keep buying it. And it's the main reason is because I know this system's going to collapse,
Mhm.
and it's just another way to shore up my bet, on survival. Because I have silver, I have gold, and it's like that other thing that makes sense, that is gonna be helpful. So I just keep accumulating, and then here recently, I finally got into Digibyte, so I've been filling my bags up with Digibyte, and I mean, I'm satisfied, and I know I look at my little CoinGecko app, and it's always like, oh, your portfolio is like 53% down because I bought stuff so high during the bull market.
Mhm.
But I know it's going to come back, and I'm not out until I sell it, and I don't plan on selling it. So it's like
It's
I'll use it
future
when,
money. Yeah. I
yeah,
I
it's like I'm
I
not.
have the same thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just keep just keep hodling it, and I'm not a trader. I'm not someone that's going to sit back and trade back and forth, trying to catch a dip and a spike and all that. I just don't. That's too much work for me.
Mhm.
you know, I have enough. I have a hard enough time wrapping my mind around like all the technology stuff. So I
Yeah.
just kind of stay out of that arena. I just buy it and hodl it, and if I don't ever need it, I'll pass it on to my children. But it's just a way to kind of shore up. It's like another safety net in my life. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here. I would have never
Yeah.
got
It's
into it.
also very empowering to feel like there's somewhere to go outside of the corruption and the trap that you feel like, you're in when they're printing the US dollar to nothing and making choices with it that you sure the hell didn't vote for.
Right.
Um,
You have no control over it because I
yeah.
have a really good pension and 401k with my union, but I don't plan on that
You'll
being
never see it. Yeah.
when I retire. I
Yeah.
just haven't for years. I've been like, it's nice to see it right now, see the numbers on the screen right now. But I know one day I'm going to look and I'm going to be like, they're going to zero out or they're not going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
I just know that deep down inside. So that's why I was always looking for ways to like place a safe bet somewhere else. And that's how I
Mhm.
got into crypto. And yeah, my portfolio is really far down, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I just keep buying.
The revaluing will come. Yeah.
hmm
What's your experience when you share crypto with friends or family members? What kind of response do you get?
Well, during when I first got into it, when it was in the bull market, which I didn't even know that term at the time, I was showing people like, dude, look how much money I made in like
Yes.
2 days. I'm like, so I actually got quite a few people in, like a couple of brothers, couple of friends, got in. They bought a little bit. Their stuff's still sitting on Coinbase. I got one brother to finally buy a hard wallet, but he still hasn't moved it. I'm like, dude, if you need help, I'll sit down and help you do it. I know it's nerve wracking, but he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, one day. I'm like, you need to get it off the exchange. That's the number
Yeah.
one thing you need to do right after you buy cryptos. Get it out of there. So yeah, I got some people into it, and a lot of people, they'll listen to me, and then some people, it's like, you could just see the interest is like absolutely not there. They're just like, oh yeah, that thing. I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been receptive to it because I guess they hear it from a lot of people at work. Like at work now, like that's a lot of conversations going on. Is what crypto did somebody buy? Oh, I'm into this, I'm into that. What do you think it's going to do in 6 months? Like people are always talking about cryptos now. It's pretty interesting. Like before it was, we talk a lot about silver and gold, and
Right.
I still talk about silver, and like I'm a big one on silver. I give it away. If I run across somebody that doesn't really know anything about silver, or very little or whatever it is, like
Mhm.
I'll give them an ounce coin. Like, here,
Yeah.
check this out, and they're like, man, this thing's pretty. It's heavy. I'm like, yeah, keep it. They're like, what? Keep it. Because it's been like 20 something dollars forever. So only giving them like, I don't know, $20 isn't anything these days. So it's
Wow.
like, keep it, and then I just hope that it seeds that, plants that seed that they're going to buy more of it, especially like, because I have a lot of Native American in me. Like, so a lot of people around, well, not a lot, but quite a few people around me are Native American or have some kind of descent inside of it, Native American. So I buy the buffalo round.
Oh, I love it.
So those are the ones that I give to people because they're like, dude, with the Indian head on it and the buffalo on
Mhm.
the back of it, they're like, oh my God, this is so pretty. And I put it in a little case,
Oh,
give it to them.
I got this really cool one from I won't use his real name. Crypto Saint Jerome, Crypto Experiences from Saint Jerome. And it's
Yeah.
copper, but it's the
Oh,
buffalo with the Indian head on the back. And my husband's Potawatomi and his kids are on the roll too. So he's like,
nice.
I can't remember what percentage that makes him. I think he's 8 and they're a 16th or something like that. I can't remember all that, but
Well, yeah, because the
yeah.
16th is as low as you can go.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
he's the one above that. But
Nice.
and I got this. We went estate sailing only to one, well, no, I guess two places this weekend, and I found these moccasins
I saw
this
those
weekend.
online.
They're so cool, and they're like all real leather. I'm like, oh, those are so cool
The Thunderbirds on the front of
with
them.
the
Yeah, those are
Thunderbirds on them. Yeah, there's
I
some
have
cool things about just the heritage, like embracing the heritage of our country and um, and learning the real history and all that. I was
yeah.
curious. I know you have some stories from traveling on the road, and I know a lot of it was a spiritual journey. What was probably your like most significant lesson when you were backpacking or traveling on the road?
So this is the one thing that really caught my attention with Clint, is because the number one thing that I learned was to trust myself
Mm-hmm.
and to trust what's inside of me, and to always to always go there. Like, that's where you go. Is within, and everything you need is in there. You just got to spend time, get silent, and get in there and find it. And sometimes it takes a while, but yeah, it's really about just trusting yourself, trusting that you are part of something greater. And it's always been apparent in my life. It took dramatic experiences to realize it, really, because now I'm on a conscious journey with my
With
inner
your
self and
conscience.
all that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Conscious with your conscience. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead
Uh,
of like thinking like, I think there's something out there, because I always felt that as a kid. It was always like, I know there's something more to all of this. I just felt like the world was always backwards. And it kind of is, like the way they run it, it's kind of backwards. So it's kind of like letting go of all that crap, like letting other things define me and having to conform to things and just be myself. And regardless of who likes it and who doesn't, I'm just being myself, and that's the number one thing I have to be, is is true to myself. And then as long as I do that, everything else works out, so it's just, that was the biggest thing I learned was to trust myself. And I still read religions and stuff, because I dig like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's always gems in there, but I don't follow any religion. I don't need a mediator and a medium between me and all that is, because I'm part of that. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't need something to tell me what I need to do or shouldn't do, or all that. It's already inside of me. All I have to do is spend time with myself. And like, I don't really reach out, like when I need understanding or whatever. Like, I don't really need to reach out to other people, but sometimes I'm led to. Like when I had the situation with my daughter, like, and I was just furious. And what I call seeing was, when I sit down and get quiet, I'm usually shown something. I'm either given a feeling that washes through me that kind of translates and lets me know what it means, or I see an image, or some kind of small vision of something, and it gives me a point of reference to start moving towards. You know what I mean? And when I was going through the stuff with my daughter, and I was sitting still trying to like get to that point, like give me a starting point, it was your image that I saw. And I said, "Do you want me to contact Light Queen Lisa?" And it was like, the feeling was like, yes. So, and I was like, well, I am a Patreon member, and I do get like a half-hour consultation with her for free. Like, I just never used it. I'm all, I guess I could do that. So then,
I
I
was
used that.
I was so honored to be able to, talk to you and just share, any of my experiences, and honored that you'd share, such a difficult time with me, and that we could just be parents together and kind of
Yeah.
lean on each other.
Yeah. I mean, I was shown to go there, so I had nothing to hide. I needed to be completely open so that I can find my direction, so I could see, right?
Yeah.
And you were a great help. Like, I took
Oh,
everything you said and shared with me, like, and used it. And it's, so far, it's it's not an overnight transformation, but it's working.
awesome.
I still apply what you were saying to me during that call, and it's definitely worked.
Well, you're such a great dad, and you just are so dedicated to your kids. So I know that will shine through, and that's what's gonna, that's what the legacy will be. So I'm sure that will be um, what lasts, and what's remembered. When you were talking about how important it is that, Westwood saying, trust yourself, and your lesson on the road and all that, I think about where our country is right now. And um, really that resonates so much, that lesson that you learned. And if we all could put down these, it's really an idol, or that golden calf, whether it's a
Right.
celebrity or a politician or a pastor or whatever that third party thing is, that we are not listening to God, the universe, standing up as adults ourselves. We're sitting here asking permission for some third party to validate us to be free men and women. And
Right.
that's where um, you know, that's really the sin of an idol, is asking for a third party to validate you.
Mm-hmm.
That when I heard you, as I'm hearing you explain it, that it sounds so clear to me, that is like the sin of Babel, or uh, Sodom and Gomorrah, or whatever. That, like, we are there, you know. Um,
Yeah, it's like people put so much importance on things other than themselves, that they're their worst enemy, and they start their own personal destruction by doing that. It's like, anytime you take away from yourself and give that energy and that power to something else, it doesn't have to be
yeah.
another person, it could be a thing.
Mhm.
um, you're destroying yourself and don't even know it. And you do that enough, and then you'll be in depression and all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's where it starts, is giving up your power. and
Yeah.
not trusting and having faith in yourself and all that is, like everything that is everything. And that's the most important thing is each individual is maintaining that strength within themselves and always honoring it. And I don't worship, I don't praise anything, I don't worship anything. I give it honor. I honor it by living my life the way that I live it, the attention that I give it, and just that's how I look at life. Like, just always being appreciative. I'm not every day, like I have my days. I'm still in a
Sure.
human body,
Sure. We
doing
all
my
have those
thing.
challenges. But I mean, when I think about during the Great Infection, when it got down to the ridiculousness of them telling us which direction to walk in the aisle of the grocery store, and some people just went, "Okay," without thinking for themselves. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm I mean, we need to question everything. We need to think for ourselves. We need to stop stop asking for permission for people that don't have authority over us.
right.
You know, that's where it needs to end. We need to say enough.
It's almost
Um,
like being put on the planet and going, okay, are you going to stand on your own, or are you always going to require something to hold you up? I
right.
choose to stand on my own.
Yeah.
That's the only way I feel complete and full. Because if I'm not
Mhm.
if I'm not honoring myself and standing on my own 2 feet and just doing what I know I need to be doing, and I don't feel full. I feel something's missing. So that's when I know I need to correct something. And then there's always the times, like I just went through something pretty recently where I was being bombarded with energy,
Mm.
and it was coming from every different angle, and it wasn't necessarily negative. It was just a lot. It was like a lot of things were wanting to talk to me at the same time, and I was just like, Jesus, calm down. And so I'm sitting, I'm being quiet, and I'm trying to, like, figure out what the hell's going on, like what's trying to get my attention.
Mhm.
What do I need to be doing? But it was so many things coming at one time that I was just having a really difficult. And I was just like, in myself, I was like, I'm having a hard time figuring this out. And I saw Jenny Moonstone's face,
Oh,
and I was like, really? Okay, because I
all
really,
these
I really
women in
like
my
to,
life.
I really like to take care of the stuff on my own. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's, and maybe it's a pride thing too. Maybe that's something I need to get over. I don't know.
Mhm.
So I reached over, grabbed my laptop, went on, scheduled a reading with Jenny Moonstone, and
Awesome.
it was amazing. She's amazing. I mean, I
Yeah.
watch her on the Road to Root all the time, and I've actually been watching her for a long time. I remember she used to be on the Christian Whistleblower years ago. That's the first time I
Oh,
ever seen her, and I even brought that up to her when I was having the reading with her, and she was like, "Oh my God." She's all, I was just thinking about him yesterday. I haven't seen him in years. I was like, well, that's the first place I ever saw you. It makes sense that you're thinking about it, because
yeah.
that's the first place I ever saw you. So it was
Mhm.
like energy meshing. But it was an amazing reading. She was on point. She helped me see things, like trans what was happening. And she was, and as she's talking, she does it with a black screen. I can't see her, she can't see me. It's just basically got
Oh,
a phone call over the computer.
okay.
And as she's talking to me about, she's all, the main thing that I see is that you're being elevated to, like, I don't really want to look at it like levels, but you're being elevated. Like, you where you're at is not where you're going to be at anymore. Shortly, you're moving into a different vibration and different
Mhm.
frequency. And as she's saying that, I had this wave of energy went through my body, and I swear to God, I almost passed out. And she was like,
Really?
Are you still there?" I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, and I told her what had just happened. She was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, yeah. So I mean, that's what. So when I see, like, how I saw, contact her, she had an energy to share with me, and she was
Mhm.
the deliverer, or she awakened it, or whatever. Same thing like when I contacted you. So it's like, I never question that stuff. I just, if I'm led to do something, I go do it. And I don't know what the outcome's going to be. And a lot of times it's not even about an outcome that benefits me. It's just something needs to get done. and you just got to facilitate it. You're the person that gets to facilitate it.
Well, I always think one of my favorite lessons that I learned through fostering and adopting and stuff is that, like, God, the universe has this plan, and these
Hmm.
amazing things are gonna happen, and they're gonna happen whether you're a part of it or not. You can choose. I think of that movie, The Polar Express, where the little poor boy that lives by the tracks, like, he's afraid to get on the train that's going to the North Pole
Right.
because he thinks he doesn't deserve to get on it, and it's like, "Well, dude, this train's going to the North Pole, you can get on or not, but it's going." And then he sits in the back because he doesn't think he deserves to sit in the front with everybody else. Like, get on the train, get the hot chocolate. Like, I wanna live this life so big. I want every opportunity. I want to, you know, meet all the people. I want to take all the risk. I want to, and yeah, it hurts sometimes. And Amy and I were talking just the other day, Amy Weir, and I was like, you know what? I will take all the hurt and the risk and all that if you get to meet all these amazing people,
Right. Because you
and
get
live this
it's a whole
great
ball of
life.
wax. You got to feel it
Yeah.
all. You got to experience it all. You can't just have all the cherries on top.
Yeah.
you know, you got to have a little bit of it all so that you get to experience it all, because it's really what it's all about, is experiencing it and then growing with it, grow into whatever you're going to grow into. You get to choose, because by the decisions that we make, and like I said the other night on Spaces, like I've said it for years, life is always coming. It's up to us what we become,
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
that's
I love
that's
that.
that's that's like a big truth for me. It's like, it's my decision to what I become. Life is going to present itself and its challenges and its rewards and all this other stuff, but it's up to me what I become, right? So, like, let's say I found $10 million in a bag. It's And what do I become from that? That's a big reward, right? Like, it's just free money. Like, I don't know, no one wants it. I can't find who to give it back to, so it's mine. You know, so do I become a drug addict again, or do I do something
Mm,
positive with that money? It's my choice to become something with that. Use that.
wow.
And one of the other things that I learned over the years is that I'm not a big language person. Like, I don't. Sometimes it takes a lot to get anything out of me. Right now, I'm just rambling, but and when I've had a little bit to drink, I'll ramble quite a bit. I'm chatty Cathy, but you know, out of all of our communications, language is the worst. Is our, like, least effective. Like,
Mm.
it's not very efficient, but it's the one we rely on the most. And it's like learning, like, feeling the energy when you're around people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're always gonna chat, talk, blah blah, but
Mhm.
there's so much more going on. There's so much more communication going on, just energy and frequency wise, and learning to, like, feel that and experience it is a huge benefit. That's definitely one other thing too that I've learned, besides
Well,
just for
that's why I
myself.
was hoping, you would get out to Vegas when I'm out there in September, because I think, like, when Westwood and I got to go on all those trips a couple years ago, it was so cool getting to meet people in person. Like you're saying, like, speaking is one way of communicating or connecting with people, but, like, meeting people in person, giving big Westwood hugs, and connecting with people in person, the frequency thing is so powerful.
Hmm.
Being in each other's presence, even connecting like this is really cool. Getting to see people's faces and spend time together, exchanging energy, sending messages, like, getting to know you better on through Patreon and all that. It's been great to be able to have that connection with people, and exchange energy with them and build those relationships, over the years now. I mean, we've been friends now for years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really great.
Some of my best friends are magical internet friends.
I love my magical internet friends for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
Vegas, like, sounded good, but a couple of things, like, I really don't like Vegas.
I know.
I've been there a few times, and I
Yeah.
just never really have a good time there. I don't know, it
Oh,
feels sticky. I don't like the way it feels.
yeah.
and the other, I haven't worked in a couple of months, so I'm about ready to go back to work and any day now. So I'm not in a position to like spend a bunch of money in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, the tickets start at I think $89 with the discount, and you get a silver round 1 ounce with the ticket. So anyway, you guys check out the link in the description if you're interested for Silver Symposium. You can get a discount with my link and see me in Vegas on September 29th through October 1st at Caesar's Palace. But
it sounds like a good time. It's got a pretty good lineup. There's a lot of really good people that are going to be there.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Well, I think I'm making a shirt. Life is always coming. It's up to me what I become.
Sounds good.
#Warrior32. So everybody make sure you're following Benny on Twitter. I put his I hope I put the right Twitter handle in the description. What is your Twitter handle? At Benny32.
Is it 32? I don't even remember.
Yes, it's at Benny32. I just went and tweeted it out, and I wrote Warrior32, and it popped up. That's your name that comes up.
Handle,
but then your handle is at Benny32.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get it right here eventually.
Yeah.
But make sure you're following him, and make sure to join us on Spaces Friday nights after happy hour on Clint Westwood's Twitter. Because Warrior will be on there and sharing lots of great knowledge, fun, and wisdom. Thanks for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
It was. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah. And if you're interested in sharing your crypto journey, make sure you are a Patreon member and send me a message. Let me know if you think you have a great story to share, and encourage the community. I think we could all use some great wisdom and encouragement right now. So take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll have Patrick from Sat Pulse and the Silver Symposium come on and join us tomorrow. So take care.